We might have just watched one of the most disastrous endings to a football game ever. We're in the Browns-Titans matchup, and this was supposed to be Shador's coming out party. He was carving up a bottom-tier defense all game long, and no exaggeration, he was throwing some absolute darts, but the Browns just wouldn't let it stick as they put the ball on the ground, gifting a fast and effortless 8-yard touchdown the other way. Then on the very next series, they get a punt block, setting up a 6-yard drive, and suddenly that's a 10-point swing off just 14 total yards of offense. Insane. But like I said, this was still Shador's moment. He responds by marching them 66 yards for a score. Then the defense steps up and forces a punt, and once again he turns right back around and leads an 80-yard touchdown drive, putting them just 3 yards away from an unreal comeback nobody saw coming. So what happens next? Do they keep the ball in the hands of the rookie who's been on fire all game long, picking apart the Titans' weak secondary after throwing for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns? Of course not. Instead, they decide to shock the world and break out a wildcat formation, and now Sanders isn't even on the field. Maybe you're thinking they want to run it down their throat, even though the Browns only have 61 rushing yards all night, and 29 of those belong to Shador, who, just to remind you, isn't even in the play. So now your best runner and best passer are both off the field for the most important snap of the game. But surely this has to be some brilliant, perfectly designed play, right? Well, there's one little issue. Koshan Judkins looks like he has absolutely no idea what's happened, and normally a running back being confused isn't the end of the world, unless he's the guy touching the football. And it seems pretty clear he was supposed to pitch it to Larvadine, because both of them look equally stunned when it's obvious Lardane doesn't even have the ball. And that's not even the worst part. Even if he did have it, no one is open anyway. The Titans read this from the start. The Browns couldn't run the ball all game, so the moment they line up in an obvious run look, it's screaming trick pass. And now Judkins is left with only one terrible option: to launch a pass into double coverage from 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage on a play that was doomed from the moment it began. That might honestly be the worst play call of the entire season. You can argue it only looks awful because it failed, but the reality is no one on the Browns even seemed to know what the plan was, who the ball was meant for, or what their job actually was. And somehow the execution ended up being even uglier than the confusion. It would have genuinely been better to just send everyone on 4 verticals and let Shador cook. What an absolute disaster. This is right up there with that Raiders Patriots insanity from a few years ago. Unbelievable. He throws it and it falls incomplete.